Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Religious rights protected. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled in favor of religious institutions keeping authority over their hiring and firing decisions. The decision stems from a case brought by an employee of a Lutheran school in Michigan, Cheryl Perrick, who was refused reinstatement to her position after being diagnosed with narcolepsy and cleared to work, and filed suit against Hosanna Tabor Evangelical Lutheran Church and School for discrimination. The court properly classified her as a, quote, minister of the religious organization, thus putting her under the ministerial exemption applicable to religious institutions for the purpose of preserving their freedom to choose employees that represent and carry their value system. This case breaks new ground because it is the first time in history the Supreme Court has held up the ministerial exception to protect religious freedom, sending the message that employees of religious institutions cannot sue employers for discrimination. Religious freedom wins one on the mainland, but takes a hard hit in Hawaii as churchgoers experience a religious real estate grab. A judge is ruling against the freedom of church owners, Protestant and Catholic alike, forcing them to allow their property to be used for so-called same-sex marriage ceremonies. The Emmanuel Temple and Lighthouse Outreach Center Assembly of God are being refused a restraining order by the court to exclude their property from a law that allows homosexual couples to enter into civil unions. Though pastors are protected from having to perform the civil unions themselves, U.S. District Judge Michael Seabright is refusing their request to bar homosexuals from using their church properties, which will make the churches face civil penalties and fines if they do not allow their buildings to be used in such ceremonies. Matthew Barber, an attorney for the conservative legal group Liberty Counsel Action, confirms the obvious, saying this creates a clear conflict between the government and exercise of free religion. Islamic Infusion. Hillary Clinton will now be importing Muslim women to the United States to give them a free college education and introduce them into American society. Her program, which she calls the Next Scholars Partnership, partners the State Department with nearly 40 women's colleges to place women from Muslim countries and give them education in science, technology, engineering, and math. Clinton says the program will, quote, help arm a new generation of women to be change agents in their communities, end quote. The New York Academy of Sciences is going to help support the program by making sure these Islamic students have access to special internship and research opportunities by granting them an exclusive 5-year membership. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Southern Square-Off. As the South Carolina primary date draws closer, the focus settles on who can challenge Mitt Romney's recent success as a true conservative in the race for presidential nomination. A Gallup poll from last week shows that Gingrich and Romney are the only, quote, acceptable candidates, according to the majority of American voters, with Romney grabbing 59% of voters surveyed, while Gingrich came in a distant second at 51%. However, Reuters News Service reports that although 3 polls taken last week in South Carolina show Mitt Romney rounding out the lead, Catholic candidates Gingrich and Santorum are squaring off for second place as the primary date draws closer. The Real Clear Politics average shows that they have some ground to cover, though, since Romney has a 10-point lead over the two when it comes to the support of voters from the Palmetto State. And finally, museum quality, homosexuality. The Smithsonian is using your taxpayer money this year to fund an exhibit lovingly displaying the homosexual lifestyle, and this one dominates 5 large rooms of exhibit space. The museum in our nation's capital is featuring a special on homosexuality as lived by lesbian writer and same-sex activist Gertrude Stein, her relationship with her lesbian lover, and her, quote, second family of homosexual men. One part of the exhibit focuses on the lesbian couple's home decor, distinctive dress, food, and pets, labeling her as, quote, one of America's most famous writers, saying that her, quote, monogamous relationship offers a remarkable example of a same-sex couple who survived, flourished even, despite continuing prejudice and intolerance of homosexuality, end quote. This year's exhibit is hardly better than last year's, which featured a self-described, quote, homoerotic display that included a video of ants crawling all over a crucifix and naked brothers kissing. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. And also be sure to check out The Vortex, where Michael talks about the problems with bishops supporting political policies. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.